Okay, I think we're good to go. I got coffee, I got water, I got electronic cigarette, I got notes. Not that I need notes that much. Got the webpage loaded. Alright. Hi Randy, what's up? Hi viewers, what's up? Wait, viewers? Listeners. I guess if you're on YouTube, you could be a viewer, although there's not much to look at other than a black screen. Or as the captain would say, good morning, children. I like that. I wish I would have thought of that first to open all of my medias with good morning, children. Captain Capitalism, that's what I'm talking about. I love his stuff. He just put out a video I need to go watch about him cautioning women to stop mutilating their bodies with, I'm assuming, with tattoos and piercings, because I'm not sure what else he could possibly mean. I couldn't agree more. I've said this before, I'll say it again, I'll say it right now. Tattoos, piercings, all this body mutilation you chicks are doing is nasty and disgusting. And speaking of nasty and disgusting, I am the great one himself, founder of the Cynical Libertarian Society. And good morning, children. You are, right now, in case you didn't know this, you're listening to the Stating the Obvious podcast. It is the weapons platform from which I launch the cruise missile of my intellect that homes in on and destroys stupid motherfuckers all around the globe. I mean, wherever the stupid motherfuckers are at, my cruise missile has a stupidity-seeking warhead on it. Homes in on statists and fucking blows them up. Sometimes people survive. We mow them down with a machine gun. It is 7:30 in the morning, Saturday, here in People's Republic of Fort Collins, Colorado. It is February the 1st, 2014. Is this the 6th year of our Lord and Savior Hussein Obama? I can't remember anymore. It doesn't matter. Time just keeps ticking away. It just doesn't matter. In the control room over there on the other side of the glass is the lovely and adorable Randy. What else do I need to tell people? Theme song, You Know I'm Right, by David Gilmour. It's off his 1984 album, About Face. It's a song he wrote about me. The email address, if you want to send us hate mail, love mail, comments, suggestions, criticisms, naked pictures of yourself if you're a cute girl in your volleyball outfit, whatever the fuck you want to send, you can send it. You can send that to god@cynlibsoc.com. That's dog spelled backwards, G-O-D. And of course, Cynical Return Society is on the internet at cynlibsoc.com. Alright. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. All that boring shit. Blah. I'm a little mellow this morning, mostly because I just got up. There's, 6 to 8 inches of snow outside. I fucking hate snow. Everybody back down in Texas where I'm from is, oh, why don't you take pictures of the snow? The snow is so beautiful. I'm like, yeah, the snow is beautiful, except when you have to go out on it, in it, on it, in it. And when it's all over the fucking streets and it turns to mush. And of course, I don't think it's supposed to get above freezing for the next foreseeable few days, which means it's just, the streets are just going to be nasty and disgusting. Sidewalks are nasty and disgusting and slick. Fucking ice everywhere. But yeah, the snow is beautiful when you don't have to move around in it. I'll agree with that. Or when everybody's not moving. Like just the snow itself, it's nice. But after everybody's driving on it and walking on it and it packs into this ice slick. God, I almost fell down. Busted my fucking face yesterday on the ice. It was terrible. You will frequently be hearing me taking drinks of coffee like that. Alright, let's get started here. A couple of quick things to cover. I just want to throw this one out again because I ran across, following rabbit holes on the internet, I ran across an article on the Huffington Post about this, about Obamacare, and about all the people that are too poor to get Obamacare. Now, I'm so fucking confused about this. Again, what was the point of Obamacare? The point of Obamacare was to provide health care for poor people. And it was going to do that by forcing people to buy health insurance. Well, now there's all these staggering numbers because apparently Obamacare does not provide any assistance, financial assistance, to people to buy health care if you're below the poverty line. So Obamacare is supposed to provide health care for people who are poor by forcing them to buy insurance, but it's not giving them any financial assistance to buy insurance. Why do you people not understand how fucking stupid this is? I mean, why am I this is so obvious to me. I don't even know how I can explain this. Everybody, well, Obamacare is going to provide health care for people. No, it doesn't. Obamacare forces people to buy insurance. But if people don't have money to buy insurance, they can't buy insurance. Therefore, Obamacare doesn't do anything except force them to pay more income tax. I'm not even going to go on about this. If you can't get how fucking stupid this is, just shoot yourself in the face. Number 2. I talked about this. It might have been in the last episode of Stating the Obvious. My friend, who is a thin, physically attractive young woman with a fantastic body, who is being told by fat women that she needs to gain weight. I ran across another young woman telling me this same story about how she's skinny, and people always say to her, "You sure are skinny. You need to gain some weight." You know what? I would like to encourage all of my female listeners, both of you, who are not overweight, because fat women aren't going to listen to this podcast. I would like to encourage you to walk up to fat women and say to them, "You sure are fat." In fact, I'd like to encourage all of my listeners, all 7 of them, to go up to fat women and say to them, "You sure are fat. You need to lose some weight." I am so fucking sick of fat women, and it's just fat women. You don't see fat men doing this shit. You don't see fat men pushing fat acceptance. You don't see fat men walking up to skinny men saying, you need to get some weight on you. You're too skinny." Fat women are so fucking desperate to normalize being fat. Look, fat bitches, shut the fuck up and lose some fucking weight. Stop opening your mouth to tell skinny women they need to be fatter, and stop opening your mouth to put bonbons in it. It's just fucking pathetic. Yeah, and again, it's like, can you imagine walking up to a fat, don't imagine it, do it. Walk up to a fat bitch and say, "You sure are fat. You need to lose some weight." And just see the fucking reaction. And yet these same fucking giant fat femistatist cunts will walk up to skinny women and tell them they're too skinny and just think that it's totally okay. Completely okay for them because they're fat to make comments about other people's bodies. But oh, when you make a comment about her fucking fat blubberly, little tongue twister there. I'm still trying to get my voice warmed up. When you make comments about her fat blubberly body, oh my god, the fucking femistatist is gonna have a fucking cow. Actually, it's a calf, because whales, when they give birth, their babies are known as calves. So, the femistatist would have a calf, technically speaking. Of course, she wouldn't, because she'd abort the fucking thing. Alright, remember, there's nothing better than sticking a vacuum cleaner up your cooch because you're too stupid to use birth control. And finally, speaking of stupid, James Bond movies. As those of you who have been listening know, I'm on the quest to watch. I was about to say listen to. I am listening to them, but I'm also watching them. Watch all of James Bond movies. I'm up to The World Is Not Enough, which is the 3rd Pierce Brosnan. Got one more Pierce Brosnan, and then Casino Royale, and then I'm stopping because Skyfall was terrible. And I just recently watched Skyfall, and I don't think I can sit through that one again. Denise Richards. I had completely forgotten that The World Is Not Enough is the James Bond movie in which Denise Richards, if you don't know who Denise Richards is, she is an actor, and I'm using the term actor very loosely. Denise Richards plays a nuclear physicist. No. Oh, notice how I can't say that without laughing. James, the bomb is going to explode. It will kill millions. We must stop it. When they wrote my lines, they had to be careful not to give me any words with more than 3 syllables. Oh my God, watching Denise Richards try to act is painful enough. Denise Richards? Denise Richards as a nuclear physicist. I mean, look, Denise Richards can portray a nuclear physicist about as well as I can portray Muhammad Ali. Oh, actually, I would do it. I could probably come closer to Muhammad Ali, if I could talk, than Denise Richards can come to a nuclear physicist. How in the fuck she got cast in that movie? I would say I don't know, but I do know. It was because of her acting talents, because her acting talents are very large. And she first appears in these shorts and a halter top, or what do you call it? Not a halter top. You know, a little sleeveless t-shirt where basically her acting talents look really huge. And then, of course, she gets wet so that her acting talents are really huge. But, God damn it, man. I mean, of all the Bond girls, at least all the other Bond girls had acting ability. All right, that's enough. That's my notes for the opening. We're done with that. Finished making fun of Denise Richards for the moment. I'm pretty sure you can't make fun of Denise Richards enough. So let's get on to making fun of something else. Here in the People's Republic of Fort Collins, we have this place which is called the Rec Room. It is a bar / nightclub / whatever you want to call it. Now, having lived in big cities and stuff, I've been to actual, what I would call clubs. Now, I've never been in the Rec Room. I have been in the space that is the Rec Room when it was in its former incarnations. Before it was the Rec Room, it was 100 Octane. Before it was 100 Octane, it was Suite 152. Or it might have been something else in between those two. I can't remember for sure. I don't do clubbing in Fort Collins. I mean, sorry, man. Fort Collins is not exactly a clubbing kind of town. So I said, I've lived in big cities. I've gone to real, actual, what I would call clubs. Anyhow, here's the important thing. There were accusations on the internet over on Reddit about racial discrimination regarding who gets into the Rec Room and who doesn't, because they have a quote-unquote dress code. And you can find this post and everything associated. This is on a website called Late Night Fort Collins. It's latenightfortcollins.com, and the name of the post is the Rec Room Racist? Now, I want to bring this up, and here's why. Because I'm bringing this up in the context of people always argue, well, statists always argue, we can't have anarcho-capitalism because then racists wouldn't let black people come into their businesses. And we hear this all the time. This is one of the arguments that's always advanced against anarcho-capitalism and why we need the government, along, of course, with the roads and national defense. And, of course, how would we collect taxes without the government? Because statists don't understand without a government you don't need taxes. So this is always a big one because the statists always dredge up the specter of racism. Racism, as I've talked about so many times, here in the United States, we have this giant fucking racism complex as a society. And of course, this is kept alive because just as the femistatists get power from women being raped, black people get power from racism. Racism is not going to die in the United States anytime in the near future, because racism empowers too many people. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, everybody who has a job dealing with affirmative action, people in HR departments, all of the government entities that exist to, enforce affirmative action laws. That's what I'm trying to get around to saying. Right? All of these people, their life, their livelihood, their income depends on the existence of racism. And of course, the law enforcement uses racial profiling to keep the prisons full. I've talked at length about the prison industrial complex. Again, if we stop putting all of these people in prison, the giant sections of our economy that will collapse, and again, all the people that we will be out of jobs. So racism isn't going anywhere because there's too much money to be made by racism. And all of this is, of course, initiated, controlled, perpetuated by the state. So when a statist says, well, without the state there would be racism, this is absolutely hilarious because the state is the greatest cause of racism in our society, the greatest perpetuator of racism. So in an anarcho-capitalist society, let's say that you owned a business. Say it's a wannabe nightclub like the Rec Room. Could you disallow black people into your club? Well, of course you could. And people say, well, see, everyone would be racist and yada, yada, yada. So if everyone is racist, wouldn't that everyone, of course, include liberal Democrats? Because the people who make this argument are almost exclusively left-wing statists who vote liberal Democrat. So as my brain seizing up, that glorious silence you heard there, that was me trying to think. And my arguments as an ANCAP against this are always no, because first of all, we can invoke the song, everyone's a little bit racist. Everyone's a little bit racist. But most people are not overtly racist. But second of all, if Democrats want there to be places where black people aren't discriminated against, businesses, nightclubs, wannabe nightclubs, they can always go start their own. More importantly, if people have a nightclub and they don't allow black people in, this will become common knowledge thanks to the ability of humans to communicate and thanks to things such as the internet, which allow the flow of information. I'm not going to say the free flow of information because, of course, in our statist society, the internet to a very large extent is controlled by the state and by the femistatist. Witness recently, Rush's Facebook account was canceled, although I think it's been reinstated, is what I've heard. But again, a femistatist attack upon him resulted in his Facebook being canceled. So in an anarcho-capitalist society where there's a free flow of information, yes, if you own a wannabe nightclub and you want to exclude black people from your nightclub, you can do that. As long as, with everything else, as long as you don't violate the non-aggression principle, and excluding people from your place of business is not initiating aggression. And as long as you respect their property, and excluding them, excluding them from accessing your property is not violating their property. And then, of course, the final key to anarcho-capitalist society is as long as you're willing to live with the consequences of what you're doing. And the consequences of doing that would be that when people discover that you exclude black people from your wannabe nightclub, they will talk about you. And they will voice their opinion to their friends and on the internet and all this other stuff. And there may or may not be, depending on the prevalent feelings of the people in your community, there may or may not be fallout for this. And in the particular case of this article, a local or local-ish news station has actually done an interview, which I have not seen, but I'm told they've done an interview with one of the women who researched this blog post. I'll need to check that out and see if I can find it. Hopefully it's on YouTube or something like that, because God knows I don't watch TV. If I can, I'll link to it. And in fact, if I was smart, I'd write that down as a note. If I was smart, I'd have a piece of paper here for writing notes on. If I was smart, what the fuck am I doing here right now? If I was smart, I'd have a beer in my hand. And I watched the final episode of Spartacus. Thank God it was not like the final episode of Battlestar Galactica. I went into length sometime in the past about how much the final episode of Battlestar Galactica sucked. Current video. Yeah, Spartacus final episode a lot better, though I was really upset that Gannicus died. I was hoping Gannicus and Sibel would go off and live happily ever after and, yada 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 fairy tale shit. But no, Spartacus does not entertain fairy tale endings, apparently. But damn, that was a good series. That was brilliant. And of course, I can talk again at length about how if there was a real life Spartacus who stood up against the state, in the movie, in the TV show, it's Rome. For us, it's the government of the United States. It's amazing how people will cheer for the person who advocates freedom on television, but of course, in real life, if you advocate freedom, you are hated by these very same people. But hey, that's the dilemma of being an anarcho-capitalist, right? Right. Okay, back to racism and the rec room. So here's the deal. There are rumors of racism. Randy, is it just me or is my microphone sagging? God, my fucking brain hurts. Hold on, guys. Is my microphone sagging? Oh, that's what he said. We got to get that new mic stand. I'm telling you. There we go. That seems better. We got to get that new mic stand. By we, I mean me, because I know I'm in charge of ordering shit. Yeah, I know. It's my fault. It's always my fault. I'm the boy. I can live with that, though. All right. It started on Reddit. There were some accusations about Reddit, and apparently there were some comments on the Facebook page for Rec Room, and their Facebook page has now been has now been disabled. There are also some comments on Yelp about the racism. So blah 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 blah. 2 women went to the Rec Room. One of them stayed outside to talk to anybody who was denied entry. The other one went inside to check things out. And here is what they found. I'm going to do some reading because this is the easiest way for me to do this. All right, here we go. Almost immediately after the doors opened at 10 p.m., we saw our first rejection of the night, a Hispanic man wearing a flamboyant Corona hat. He told us he was denied entry because the hat was considered brand representation. Although later that night I saw someone else wearing a clearly labeled Fireball whiskey shirt inside. Maybe brand representation is only confined to hats. I find it interesting that a bar will not let somebody in wearing a Corona hat, because as somebody put in the comments down below, I'm pretty sure the bar has a shit ton of brand representation in the alcohol selections behind the bar. They might even have Corona in there. All right, shortly after, a well-dressed black man with a group of 4 other black friends was rejected for his cargo pants. Now, they have photos of this also. They don't have people's faces, but they have photos of the offending clothing. Now, I'm not sure what constitutes well-dressed. Again, I'm not sure what... And this is part of what we're going to see is the problem here. Because there's problems all around. There's plenty of blame for me to lay out. Part of the problem, and we'll just do this now, is the rec room supposedly has a dress code. But to the extent of my knowledge, and to the extent of the knowledge of the writers of this post, and to the extent of the knowledge of the commenters, and I say that because nobody's produced it, there is no written guidelines for this dress code. Now, speaking as a person who has been an employee, been a employer, been a business owner, been a hiring authority, had to manage other employees, so forth and so on, if you own a business and your business has something like a dress code, or even an ANCAP society, right? If your business is not going to let minorities in, you have to be specific about these things in such a way that it's clear. So you have to have a written thing that says, okay, to our doormen, here's who's not allowed in. Anybody that is not 100% Caucasian, right? You need to spell this out. If you're going to have a dress code, you've got to say what exactly is allowed, what is not allowed. I've talked about this before, dress codes when I went to tech school. Unlike those of you who went to college, we had a dress code. We knew what it was. Dress code is, right? No fucking tank tops, no shorts, no open-toe shoes, no hats inside the building, no t-shirts or clothing that has any representation of alcohol or tobacco on it. I mean, there is more, but I mean, that's a very specific dress code which anybody can read and understand. So now this gentleman's cargo pants look like military pants to me, and he's wearing a white shirt with narrow black horizontal stripes on it. I would not necessarily call that well-dressed. And for the clubs that I have been in, I would probably not have let that person in either. However, as we will find out, whoops, why did fucking internet? Alright, next thing. One girl in the group told Kristen that she had been rejected 3 times before, once for wearing black on black. Color me crazy, but I thought black was neutral. I saw hordes of girls inside the rec room wearing black dresses, black tops over black leggings, black pants, and black tights. So maybe the girl was mistaken. After all, we didn't see anybody rejected for wearing too much black. Did we? Yep, a Middle Eastern man was rejected later in the night for wearing black on black. And there's a picture of him. He is wearing black pants. He's got some white shoes. And he has a black shirt on. It looks like a sweatshirt. And it says Gap on it. As Kristen texted me the info from outside the bar, I couldn't believe it because I was looking right at somebody wearing that exact color combination. We later watched a white man wearing a black t-shirt and black pants walk right inside without a problem. Okay. You're going out to the club. You're wearing black pants and a black shirt. Yes, obviously gang members. I mean, what do you say to this? It's fucking black. And so the doormen are apparently making. So if you're wearing all black, you're a gang member. I guess. I don't guess. I know. I can't wrap my brain around this. First of all, for those of you not from the People's Republic of Fort Kollins, there is no gang activity there. Fort Kollins is really desperate to have gang activity because Fort Kollins really desperately wants to be a big city. And there's a reference in this post further up in the intro that I didn't read about there was a stabbing on Linden Street, apparently. And this was gang activity. No, that's not gang activity. That's called bad parenting. In fact, most gang activity, 97% of gang activity, is not gang activity. It's like ADHD. It's just bad parenting. So all black clothing is apparently a sign of gang activity. And again, especially chicks. Chicks wear black and black and black all the fucking time. If you're going to reject people from coming into your bar for wearing black on black, and in this case, the logo on the Middle Eastern man's clothing who is rejected, who is not allowed entry to the shithole known as the rec room, it says Gap. Do gang people wear Gap clothing? Black clothing. Gang, I don't get it. Sorry, I don't get it. It's not gang activity. That kind of next. Oh, and then here is a picture of the white guy in the black pants and the black t-shirt who got into the bar without any problem. All right. Again, we're rejecting Middle Eastern men for wearing black clothes. And also, somebody pointed this out in the comments also. Speaking as somebody who has done clubbing, I can tell you that women getting denied entry is very, very, very rare. And the fact that women are in there wearing black on black on black does not surprise me, because what does a club like Rec Room or Blue Planet, where I used to go back in the day, and all this other stuff, that's not in Fort Collins, that's elsewhere, or Chickasaw, right? The point of these clubs is to make money. Now, how do they make money? Well, they make money by selling alcohol. Now, if you have people coming into the club, you want them to buy the alcohol. That's how you make money. Who's going to buy the most alcohol, men or women? Well, men are, because men have more muscle mass, men have higher body weight, men can drink more booze than women can. Yeah, I know the feminists are going equality, blah, shut the fuck up, cunt. Men drink more booze than women. End of discussion. So you want a large number of men in there so that they will buy alcohol so that you make money. However, in a perfect world, your club would exclusively cater to men. That's how you would make the most money. However, there's a little snag with that. What is it that gets men to go inside a club? It ain't the alcohol, it's the women. So you got to have women in the club to get the men in the club. And because women are what bring men to the club, and because men are what make money, clubs are not going to refuse women no matter how they're dressed. I once had to leave. Did I have to leave? I can't remember for sure if I had to leave or if they were nice and let me slide. But I remember one time I was at Blue Planet, and I was there before the festivities begin in earnest, and I was wearing shorts. And one of the doorman bouncers came up to me and said, "Hey, you're going to have to leave because you're wearing shorts. You know, it's prime time begins at whatever time, and that violates the dress code. You can't be in here." And he was cool about it. He wasn't an asshole. But, I looked around, and there were girls all around me wearing shorts. And, of course, this is okay because they're girls. And this is one of those things where sexism is, of course, completely supported by women. I've talked about this before. if women had to dress themselves to the same standards that men do, they would fucking die. I've seen, I once applied for a job where I was told that as a man, I would have to wear a coat and a tie and a dress shirt. And of course, long sleeve coat, long pants, blah, blah, and standing right there looking at a woman who was wearing something that could barely be counted as negligee. And so, of course, women are always allowed to dress any way they want because nobody dares tell women they have to cover their nasty selves, especially when they're covered in piercings and tattoos and all these other disgusting body mutilations. All right, but the point is there is no effective dress code for women. When you're going to a club, if you're expecting women to adhere to a dress code, you're stupid. Because, no. The club wants women in there, and it wants those women dressed skanky because that's what's going to bring in the men. So making comparisons between the men and the women I don't think is very valid or useful in this examination of is the rec room racist or not. But it's certainly comparing men to men is completely valid. If there's men inside wearing black on black and there's men outside getting rejected for wearing black on black, the men inside have white skin, the men outside being rejected have non-white skin. That's a reasonably good case. You've got something to go on there. Okay. Next, a black man who works in the Air Force. Okay. Works in the Air Force. The correct lingo would be is a member of the Air Force or is in the Air Force who works in the Air Force. Never mind, we're not critiquing writing skills yet. When we get to the comments, my God, the fucking comments on this thing, it's like watching 10 retarded children argue about nuclear physics. It's like watching Denise Richards try to portray a nuclear physicist. That's what the comments on this thing are like. A black man who works in the Air Force was rejected for his camo cargo pants. He told us he was able to enter the Drunken Monkey just before the rec room without any problems. Anybody can get in the Drunken Monkey, who cares? So, and again, I mean, maybe I have different standards. When I went, again, I'm big cities. When I went to clubs, I wore nice shirts and nice pants, except for that one time I was wearing shorts. But they were nice shorts, actually, as I recall. But just, these people are all wearing like sweatshirts and t-shirts. To me, this is just me, again, a sweatshirt or a t-shirt is not what you wear to a club. But then again, I'm talking about high-end clubs. Rec Room is not a high-end club, and I have to keep reminding myself of that. Another black man wearing camo cargo pants paired with a green button-down shirt and gray cardigan was also rejected. I'm sorry, camo pants do not go with that ensemble. I might have rejected this guy too, because it's like, dude, you're wearing camo pants. I mean, see, cargo pants, I think, can look nice. Camo pants, no. If it was a camo jacket, I can live with that. A camo shirt is really borderline for getting into a club. Camo pants, you're not even coming into my house wearing camo pants, and I was in the fucking military. You can wear camo pants on the work site or when you're hunting. Wearing camo pants for a night out? No. Although apparently it's just fine for girls to pull off the camo pant look. Here's a picture of a girl in the club wearing camo pants. As I said, you can't compare the girls to the boys. Now this one, I love this one. After that, a black man was rejected for too much red color coordination. It's a picture of the guy. It doesn't show his shoes, but we can see his shirt and his pants. He's wearing what look to be black pants. And his shirt is a plaid button-up shirt with pockets on it. It is black, red, and white. It's long sleeve. In my opinion, this shirt is perfectly acceptable for going into a club. Aside from his shirt, the only red he was wearing was a red accent color on his sneakers. His friend, who was also black, was able to get in while wearing peach-colored pants, a blue shirt, and a zipper hoodie. Okay, peach pants? No, you should not be wearing peach pants in public, my friend. All right, this friend was visibly angry and frustrated at the red-shirted man's rejection. The guy in the red shirt came back later wearing a different shirt and a black zipper hoodie, but still had to argue with the doorman for several minutes before they finally agreed to let him in. However, his friend got so angry that he stormed off, and they eventually spent most of their night upstairs at the Yeti. First of all, if you get rejected from a club, I don't know why the fuck you would come back and try to give them your money. So let me do this. Red color. First of all, we should be encouraging men to fucking color coordinate their clothing. But too much red color coordination. He was rejected entry because he had too much color coordination in his wardrobe. See, this is what I'm saying about why, if you're going to have a dress code, it needs to be outlined what is and isn't. I mean, seriously, the dress code rejects people. So what about the white guy who got in wearing a black t-shirt and black pants? That's an awful lot of color coordination. Now, in an anarcho-capitalist society, a wannabe nightclub like the Rec Room could be racist if they wanted to. They could refuse entry to black people and Middle Eastern people and Hispanic people. And this would be completely 100% okay, because all of those people have the ability to not only talk about this and bring this issue up to their friends and to protest it, to complain about it, whatever. They also have the ability to vote with their money. Because you see, if you have a business and your business does not allow black people into it, or minorities, period, if your business does not cater to non-Caucasians, then everybody who is a non-Caucasian can take their money someplace else. And everybody who is friends with a non-Caucasian and does not approve of having a place that is exclusively Caucasian can take their money someplace else. And so why you would go to this club, be rejected entry, and then go back and try to get back in is a little bit beyond me, honestly. I mean, if somebody... I give people one opportunity to take my money. And if they fail to avail themselves of taking my money, they don't get a second chance. So I'm baffled why he would go back. Again, there's this picture, there's nothing wrong with the way this guy is dressed, in my opinion. I don't see this. This is not... And again, it's gang activity, and these people have, we're going to hear these excuses appear in the comments and stuff that, well, these people were drunk. Or the other excuse, oh my God, drunk people in a bar. We can't fucking have that. No. We're going to refuse you entry to our bar because you're drunk. Whatever. The excuses we hear from people who are defending the rec room are, these people were drunk, these people are known troublemakers, and these people are whiny. All right. Another black man was rejected for the third time for wearing pants that were too baggy. I'm not sure if that means he was rejected for the third time or if this was the third person rejected for wearing pants that are too baggy. We got a picture. I mean, his pants look baggy-ish. I mean, so baggy pants is, that's a gang thing now too or something. If anything, people should be rejected. Take two. If anything, people should be rejected for wearing skinny jeans, not baggy pants. I mean, look, I can't see his underwear in the picture. That's a step up. And his shoes look quite nice. He's got some kind of, they look like dressy shoes. They're black and white. They actually look pretty fucking styling. Not buying that one as a candidate for a rejection for gang activity. Or whatever. He and his friends sat with us for a while outside, venting their frustration and anger about what they believed to be blatant racism. His friend told us he had been rejected twice before for wearing Sean Jean and Rocawear brands because the rec room considers those to be gang attire. I don't know what Sean Jean or Rocawear are, and I don't really give a shit. Again, is this gang attire? Again, Fort Collins, please get over yourself. There is no fucking gang activity in this city. Would you please stop trying to be more than you actually are? Stop. After a while, they gave up and went to Tony's. Less than 10 minutes later, and then there's a picture of some blue jeans or some jeans or something. It's kind of a dark... All these pictures are taken in the dark by a cell phone, so they're not super high quality. These look like pretty baggy jeans to me. Only difference, they were on a white guy inside. So, baggy jeans on a white guy, you can get in. Baggy jeans on a black guy, you can't. Again, gonna say, it does smell a little bit like racism. Or maybe I should say it smells like racial profiling. Let me throw this out, though. This is what's interesting. The police function to a very large extent on racial profiling, and yet you don't really see any blog post written about that. I mean, look at the prison population in the United States. It's mostly minorities. Where's the late night Fort Collins blog post about that? Oh, that's right. The police work for the government. And right now the president is a black man. And if you disagree with the government, you're racist. All right. Of course, not every person rejected that night was non-white. One nerdy-looking white guy, sorry dude, but it's true. Again, it's okay to insult nerdy white guys, just like it's okay to walk up to skinny girls and say, you sure are skinny, you need to gain some weight. But you can't walk up to a fat bitch and say, you sure are fat, you need to lose some weight. Right, so we can insult white guys by calling them nerdy. I noticed we didn't insult any of the non-white men in this blog post. No, of course not. Of course we didn't. One nerdy-looking white guy was rejected. I mean, we didn't insult the Hispanic guy wearing the Corona baseball hat. No, God damn it, Corona cowboy hat. I mean, dude, I would not let anybody wear that hat in public because first, I mean, unless Corona's paying him, I don't believe you should be advertising shit for corporations. This is why, all of these people, like, they got rejected for wearing their, like, Gap or whatever. In a way, I don't have sympathy for you because if you're advertising on your body for a multi-billion-dollar international corporation and that corporation's not paying you money, you're kind of a dumbass. I don't advertise for brands on my body unless they pay me. But I noticed we didn't make fun of the Hispanic guy wearing the terrible-looking Corona cowboy hat. But we're going to make fun of the white guy for being nerdy-looking. Because, of course, racism is okay when it flows at white people. Just like weightism is okay when it flows at skinny people. But God, don't fucking say anything about fat bitches. No, 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 no. Of course, not every person rejected that night was non-white. One nerdy-looking white guy was rejected in the line just before me for wearing cargo pants. And this guy's cargo pants are whitish, khaki. I don't know. They don't look too bad. And all I can see is his pants. He's wearing some kind of jacket. I don't know. Letting him into my club? It's borderline. If he's nerdy, I would probably... Thing is, though, nerdy people have credit cards. And again, the point of a nightclub, a real nightclub, a classy nightclub, or a wannabe nightclub, the point of a nightclub is to make money. You make money by selling alcohol. You sell alcohol by having men with credit cards in the club. So the question is, does he have a credit card? It always reminds me of, there's a movie that I love. It came out, I think, back in the 80s. It's called Vamp. It has Grace Jones in it, who is actually a Bond girl. She was in one of the Bond movies. Grace Jones plays a vampire. So it's about vampires in this nightclub in a city. It's a great movie. It's kind of half serious, half campy. Really good cinematography. I highly, highly recommend you watch this movie. But there's a point where the two protagonists of the movie, it's these two guys, go to the club, and the doorman is like, let me see your ID. And they pull out their wallet, whatever, and they're showing their driver's license, whatever. And he's like, no, he like shoves that aside. He doesn't give a shit about that. And he pulls it out and he drops out all of their credit cards. He's like, yes, you're good to go in. And that's exactly what I feel like. The doorman, instead of looking at people's ID, should be looking at how many credit cards do these people have in their wallets. So if the guy had a bunch of credit cards, I would let him in. Because again, the purpose of a nightclub is not to fucking invoke racial equality. The purpose of a nightclub is to make money. You make money by getting men who have credit cards in the nightclub buying alcohol. That's the purpose of a nightclub. That's the only purpose of a nightclub. If you run a nightclub and you're not trying to get men with credit cards to spend money on alcohol, you're doing it wrong. Okay. Back to reading. If there was one common thread throughout all the dress code violations, it was cargo pants. I didn't see any inside, although I saw plenty of khakis and regular Dockers. Maybe they're concerned someone could be hiding a weapon in the side pocket. Better check my purse then, because I could fit a tank into that thing with room to spare. But again, this doesn't count. You're a woman, and as I've said, the dress code does not apply to women. But, I mean, yeah, what is the thing with cargo pants? I mean, again, you can't really hide a weapon in, well, not a very big one, in cargo pants pockets. Especially, I mean, this guy, there's pretty obviously nothing in these pockets. All right, anyway, a white man was also rejected for wearing sandals, which they told him was a health code violation, although in my opinion, socks with sandals is a far more serious crime. Once again, though, that rule must not apply to girls because open-toe shoes were de rigueur on the dance floor despite the freezing weather. Again, we can't compare men to women. Second of all, so it's a white man was rejected for wearing sandals, and notice the comment about socks with sandals is a serious crime. Again, notice the cut, the insult, aimed, of course, at a white man. No racism here, however. All right, furthermore, my white male drinking buddy was let in without a second glance while wearing steel-toed boots, dirty jeans, and a trucker hat that he literally found lying on the side of the road. Clearly, they're not interested in how fancy you look. And of course, steel-toe boots make a great weapon because you can kick the shit out of somebody and not hurt yourself. And of course, we're worried about troublemakers, violence, and gang activity because gang members would never wear steel-toe boots. Now, if you're wearing a red, black, and white plaid shirt, that's obviously gang, right? That's gang involvement. If you're wearing your black Gap sweatshirt, that's obviously gang involvement. However, dirty jeans, steel-toed boots, and a trucker hat, no gang involvement there at all. Okay. The numbers tell the story. In a city that is only 11% non-white, and of course the fact that Fort Collins is only 11% non-white, as I've said before, is why this city is so fucking obsessed with racism, tolerance, diversity, multiculturalism, yada, yada, yada. It's because this place is almost exclusively white people. And as I've said before, people always compensate for what they don't have, right? Men drive pickup trucks with big tires because they have small penises. People who say, I'm not a racist, are racist. People who say, oh, I'm always honest, are the biggest liars. People always compensate for what they don't have. All right. 15 out of 17 people we saw turned away within the first 2 hours were of color. 15 out of 17, that's 88%. Now, let me see if I can get this in before we end. Is this a scientific sampling? No, it was only 2 hours on a random Saturday night in January. But after talking to the people turned away, it was obvious this isn't a fluke or one-time thing. The hurt and anger is real. Many people we talked to experienced rejection from the rec room again and again, no matter what they were wearing. And the very same outfits were perfectly acceptable at the Yeti and the Drunken Monkey, Tony's, and presumably every other bar in town. So why does the rec room insist on such a vague, inconsistently enforced dress code, which isn't posted anywhere and seems to change from person to person and night to night? Well, that part is called bad management. Again, if you're going to have a dress code, if you own a business, if you're going to have a dress code, it needs to be specific. It needs to be written down. It should be posted on your website. Make it public so people know what to show up in. When people show up not in the correct dress code and get turned away and have to come back, you're just going to piss them off and they're going to spend less money in your business. If you fucking give a shit about your business, post the fucking dress code so people know what it is. Educate your goddamn doorman. Educate your public. Educate your potential customers. This shit isn't that hard. What we see here is potentially racism. There's also the question of, is this potential racial profiling taking place with or without the knowledge of the owners of the business? And again, I don't know, right? The owners may not have any clue this is happening. All of this really ultimately, in my opinion, boils down, of course, to the state, but also to a poorly run business. The people that own this business need to, again, I'm just repeating myself at this point, which is fine because the podcast is almost over. Make the dress code in writing, make it clear, make it informative, make it obvious, make it easy to understand and follow, make it, and then educate the doorman on how the fuck to imply it. Let everybody know what it is. So is the rec room racist? My answer is, I don't know and I don't give a fuck because I wouldn't go to that shithole if it was the last fucking wannabe excuse for a club on the planet Earth.